Hey, folks, just a friendly reminder that all shows on the Madness Comic Network are produced by their individual hosts and in no way reflect the opinions of the network as a whole.
Flip City Magazine is just really pulling out all the stops, man. Your guys' production value of this magazine has gone insane. I mean, look at that. I mean, I remember when you guys, it was black and white. Even when it was black and white, I thought your quality was great. But damn, they have just, I mean, they just really stepping it up a notch. Look at this. James Corbett, boys. James Corbett.
Genuinely cutting. But also funny, and obviously just chaotic and very fun.
I love Flip City. It has brought new types of badassery and integrity to the print medium.
The future. The final frontier. It has never been so uncertain as now. AI, VR, haptic wear, nanotechnology, mass destruction with a remote click. Now we are finally seeing the true potential and dangers of an ever-connected and overly policed hyper-technological world. Have we finally become the architect of our own demise? Is there still hope? Welcome to the future. Welcome to Punk Droid.
Hey, everybody, Dirk Manning here, the writer and creator of numerous comic books and graphic novels, including Nightmare World, Tales of Mystery, Brave But Not Dead, all kinds of stuff. And I am super excited for you because you are getting to watch right now, right this moment, out of all the things we're really going to be doing, you're getting to enjoy and revel in the Madness Comic Network. And that is awesome. Thank you for being here.
Let's see here now. Well,
excellent.
There we go. Good morning, folks.
Oh boy.
Good morning. So we've got myself, Les Garner, here, as I try to be, although COVID prevented me from it last week. Charles D. Moisant, and our guest today is Sean Sullivan. He's here to talk about the business aspects of being an artist and all that sort of thing. So I am going to kick this over. I don't think we've got video from Charles or Sean. So,
Well, you will in a second, but mine is going to make people dizzy.
oh, Lord.
Yes.
So I'm going to keep pounding away on this commission piece while Charles kind of takes the lead here, and we get into things.
Yeah. So okay, real quick, what is this piece you're doing, Les? Let's hear a little bit about that background.
It's a commission for a new comic shop opening in, I believe, Clarksville or Cookeville, Tennessee.
Cookeville is that anything like Cook County? Yeah, Cook is actually a secret name for Crook. Crookville and Crook County. That's why you're doing Batman and all the other heroes.
No, this is this is in the great state of Tennessee, where things are a little more civilized than they are in Chicago.
Oh, they're very civilized in Chicago. It just depends on the way that you lean. And if you are willing to lose your leg, lose your arm, lose your head, lose your life, it's a great place. However, Sean, why don't you talk about the good things for a moment about Chicago? Why do you love it?
Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. Despite what the media says, I think Chicago is one of the greatest places in the world. It really is. And I wish they would portray it the way it really is, which is 99% great.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Well, I am definitely outnumbered here because I know Charles likes Chicago. I have been in Chicago more since I've known Charles than ever before in my life. And
well,
let's just say I have no desire to go back unless I have to.
Les is more of your happy, good. If there's a neighbor within a mile of me, they're too close.
Yeah. See, I live where I live. It is as rural can get. And I am happy to be out on a whole lot of untouched acreage, just doing my thing, and don't have neighbors, don't have a whole lot of like city regulation type stuff to worry about. Don't have HOAs, don't have people lording over me about, what kind of house I've got or what my roof is like or any of that kind of stuff. It's like actual freedom.
Which is a lot of fun. Well, now, one thing that's quite amazing is the acreage that Les has. Is he has an amazing studio where he can do art. And there are other artists who do art, and they're like they may be really skilled at the art that they do. It's like, whoa, look at this. This is amazing. Or you have musicians who are like, hey, look at me play this riff. I knew of a story. In fact, I'm working one on taxes so that people understand the actual importance and usefulness of paying taxes. I know there'll be arguments about that, but
taxation is theft. Go on.
But the story is about a musician who was taking everybody out to dinner, and he can't pay for the bill, and he should have at least a sizable amount of money in the bank account. He goes to the bank thinking he's a victim of identity theft. Instead, it's the IRS who took it. And then, to his horror, he discovers that all the venues he did, he was paid cash. The venues reported his taxes. He didn't because he didn't know to. And, fortunately, he was able to work with tax experts and get things cleared up and cleaned up. And then the story ends with him taking everybody out to dinner. But Sean, you deal with business stuff. And, Les is not incorporated. I'm incorporated. What are some advantages of the different types of earning monies, and what are the categories? And then talk a little bit about yourself, where you came from, some famous people you might have worked for, if you can. I know that there was a reason for you coming to Chicago. So let's hear it. The floor is now yours, Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah, the first right out of the chute. So I own two companies. I have a mortgage company. I have a tax and accounting business. We just finished tax season, and that's always a doozy because everybody in America needs it. The number one, the two things that you always have to keep in mind, no matter what you do when you wake up every day and you do something to earn money, whether you're a doctor or artist or anything in the world, is number one, you got to protect yourself from liability. And a lot of people think, well, it's not going to happen to me. You know, what could really happen? Thing is everybody's liable. And the beautiful thing about America is the structures that you can structure yourself under protect your personal assets. So the name of the game is keeping your business and your personal separate. So that way, no matter what happens, nobody can come after your personal assets. And the number, that's very, very easily done. It doesn't require a lawyer. It doesn't require a lot of money. You can protect all your personal assets for $500 or less for the rest of your life.
What?
Easily.
That's insane.
Yeah.
So how would that work? We just give the government that money, or how does that work?
No, you create a business entity, an LLC or an S corp, and automatically everything you do is protected.
Okay.
So you're only liable up to. So anybody that's doing anything is only liable up to the amount of money that they put into the business.
Okay. So explain the differences between a sole proprietor, a company, a S corp, a LLC, and an LLP. Because there's so many of these alphabet soups. It's like, which one should I eat?
That's the thing. It seems like there's so many, but there really isn't. There's only 5 or less ways to do this. So it seems like, oh my God, what about this and what about that, and a trust and an estate and L this and S that, and there's only 5. So the worst thing you can be, if you define worse as, financial trouble, is a sole proprietor. So for 2 reasons, sole proprietor is completely liable for their personal and professional assets, which you never want. And number 2, nobody gets taxed harder than a sole proprietor. So if you want to pay more in taxes, if you want to get sued and lose everything and pay more in taxes, be a sole proprietor.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with it. It's not bad. It's not illegal, but it leaves you flapping in the wind, and your tax bill will be 2 or 3 times as much as it needs to be.
Up to 3 times as much?
Easily.
And here I just thought that's how it was designed.
Yeah, so you don't want to do that. You don't want to be a sole proprietor. A lot of people will start off, I see people doing, hey, I'm going to sell $20,000 worth of stuff on eBay over the course of the year, and they don't create an LLC or anything, and they're not going to get sued. They're not, but they're going to pay 2, 3, 4 times as much in taxes than they just spent $295 to create an LLC. And that's the same for a guy who's doing $10 million a year.
Here's a question for you, and it's admittedly got a little bit of a sarcastic bite to it, but why the hell is this stuff not front and center of what you're taught in school here?
I wake up for the last 25 years. So back when I was 6, no, I'm just kidding. I wake up every day for 25 years wondering why this pamphlet isn't dropped from airplanes across society, because it's so easy. There's nothing scary or hard about it, and nobody knows it. I guess on the one hand, I'm kind of glad because it keeps me busy, right? I have an endless source of clients. If everyone in America could sit down in 5th grade and listen for 1 hour, or maybe 10th grade for 1 hour, their entire lives would be better for the rest of their lives. Whether it's them or their uncle or their best friend or their father, their mother, their wife, them, all you need is an hour, and your life will be 10 times better. So I don't know why they don't teach it. I really don't. But it keeps. It keeps every lawyer. You know what it does? It creates a multi-billion-dollar industry for lawyers and accountants to clean up messes that didn't need to be cleaned up.
I was about to say my cynical nature says the reason they don't teach it is that the people who make laws tend to be lawyers, and lawyers tend to be people who profit off of the ignorance of all this. So of course there's not that much of a desire for the stuff to actually be, shared.
I don't know that there's a bunch of guys and gals in a room twiddling their mustaches who came up with
it. Conspiratorial way. It's just this is the natural way that plays out.
It's the natural way that it plays out. Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a central committee, but I think there's just. I'm not implying that you're saying that there is. I'm just saying I don't think it was like a grand design. I just think it's unfortunate, like you just said, that it's naturally
fortunate for some and unfortunate for most everybody else.
Well, the sum it's fortunate for are people who win lawsuits and lawyers and accountants, and the people who it's unfortunate for, to me, are the ones who get up every day and do their job. Yeah. Whether you own a hair salon or you do comic books or whatever, or you lay concrete or you name it, there's 1,000 professions out there. So you don't want to be a sole proprietor because there's only two topics here. There's liability and there's taxes. Sole proprietor keeps you in the highest liability category and keeps you in the highest tax bracket. So the way around that is to do an LLC. An LLC automatically protects you, all your personal assets instantly. As long as you don't commingle your personal finances with your business finances, then you're protected. So if you start something and you put $5,000 in, you're liable if you ever get sued for $5,000, your business, and that's it, no matter how much damage you do. If you do $1 million in damage, you get sued for $1 million. Your LLC, you're liable up to only what you put into it. And then you also, you buy business insurance, $40 a month. You have a business liability policy on top of an LLC, and now nobody can take your house. Nobody can take your bank accounts. And that's it. And an LLC is $300 and you're set. As long as you don't use your business funds to go to Dairy Queen and buy personal food and mix the money around and pay your mortgage with your business. And if you start doing stuff like that, then you're going to break the LLC. And a lawyer will figure that out and say, hey, you know what? This isn't really an LLC. They're kind of mixing everything up together. So you do need the advice of an accountant. And that's it. And then if you want to take it one step further, you do an S Corp. An S Corp allows you to minimize your tax bill. So you do an LLC, you limit your liability, and then you do an LLC structured as an S Corp, which is super easy to do. And it would be beyond the scope of a 1-hour conversation, but you can completely minimize your tax. So this season, I had a young lady who was a hairdresser. So she doesn't even have her own business. Like she has she goes to a nice salon and she has a chair there and whatever. She brought in like 80 grand. And last year her taxes were 6,000 or 7,000. This year it was, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000. So we saved her $4,000, and to her $4,000, to me too, to a lot of us, that's a lot of money. So she cut her tax bill by a third just by doing an S Corp. And she's just a hairdresser. I mean, I don't want to say Justin, she's not running a business with 50 employees is what I'm trying to say. So it can benefit all of us, and if you're doing comic books, you're doing anything in the entertainment world. I always say, I think what people do is they sit around and they think, how can somebody really sue me? What could I really do wrong? Well, the thing is it only takes 1 out of 1,000 people to figure something out. And in America, we live in the land of the free, and there's a lot of good that comes with that. But part of living in the land of the free is anybody can sue anybody. You can sue anybody for any reason, anytime. Doesn't mean you'll win. Doesn't mean it'll go anywhere, but you have the right. It might as well be in the Constitution, even though it's not. In the land of the free, you can sue anybody for any reason, anytime. Period. End of story. And if the other party doesn't show up in court, you automatically win. So, I mean, and I'm simplifying it, and I'm not a lawyer, so I don't want to go there. But, and then your taxes. The U.S. government wants people to, despite the popular consensus, the IRS, the U.S. government actually supports small business. It really does. If you do it right, the tax code
That's definitely not been my experience.
Encourages small business. I know, because
did you do the taxes? Did you have somebody else do the taxes, or did you have a professional do the taxes?
I have. My past situations are complicated. I'll leave them at that. I don't want to bring up personal stuff. Understood. So yeah, let's not do that.
Right. But this is why I sometimes advocate for someone who's an expert at it, because my son, for example, is a certified, from my understanding, is a certified IRS tax agent and a mortgage broker, and he treats taxes as an art form. He understands math extremely well, is a genius, and it's just quite, it's fascinating what he's able to do.
Your camera is on, Charles.
Oh, sorry.
And we're staring at your steering wheel.
Yeah. But back to it, how is it that the government actually helps small businesses? Because we hear, the government hates business, the government hates this, the government hates that, blah, 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 government. Okay.
Yeah. I'm sure no system is perfect, but it's very simple. The government allows you to create your own little corporation, even if you're just a one-man or one-woman show, and allows you to run yourself through payroll and minimize your profits down to very low, and pay your taxes as you go, just like you're an employee of your own company, and cut your tax bill way down. So it really is designed to support small business. The system is. The problem is that nobody has the knowledge. And some people take advantage of it, but a lot of people, just out of not having anyone help them, don't know how to do it. And the thing is it's not hard. That's the thing. It's just not hard.
I'm going to be the odd man out, because I can't. Let me put it like this. If I have anything to do with the system, it will be by force, by coercion, because I have to. Otherwise, I want nothing to do with it, because anything that is put on me by coercion is it's like I'm not free. I'm not free. And taxes. That's the old Ben Franklin thing about the only two things in life that you can count on are death and taxes. It's like So what that's saying to me is you can count on, no matter what, there's an outside authority of sorts or a claim to authority that's going to force you to give up from what you've earned. And there's like a deep moral problem that I've always had with the entire thing. That's why I like when people say things that are like, oh, it's set up for this, or it's set up for that, or it's there for you, it's there for a good thing. I'm like, that falls on deaf ears with me literally every time. The only stuff that I'm ever remotely interested in with it is basically, how can I keep more of my money? Because God knows they've taken enough out of me through the years.
Yeah, and my attitude is
literally,
you don't have the military, you don't have roads, you don't have police, you don't have schools, you don't have a lot of infrastructure. But let's shift gears. Originally, what was the purpose of the federal government before the Yahoos in the 1912s and 13s decided to create income tax? Wasn't it that they were only responsible for the military and the post office?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's kind of a simplification and an exaggeration, but yeah, before up until the beginning part of the 20th century, really the U.S. government did not much more than deliver the mail and have a military, and that's it.
That was plenty.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, people forget, but people forget, but up to a certain point, I don't have the dates, but every area had its own currency. There wasn't even a national currency. So if you were in the Georgia area, you used Georgia money. If you're in the Chicago area, you use Chicago money.
There were battles back and forth from the very beginning about the founding of a national bank, and supposedly the compromise that they tried to strike was the creation of the Federal Reserve, which is pretty damn diabolical as far as I'm concerned. I do know probably the only thing that I ever really liked about President Andrew Jackson was his dying words. On
he died?
On Jackson's deathbed, he had fought the rebuilding of a national bank, and on his dying words were, "I killed the bank."
Yeah,
and I love that, because there's this whole thing like now where they're trying to do a digital currency, like a national digital currency. That's terrifying, because
worldwide digital currency.
Yeah, that all of that stuff is like all of the things that centralize more and more power and the ability to account for everything everybody does in some way. If you can account for it, then you can leverage it. And if you have people depending on money that you take from some to give to others in order to redistribute wealth across whatever parameters for whatever reasons, then you're inviting essentially tyranny. No matter which way you cut it, you're always inviting that. And that the whole thing, I personally have always found the whole thing disgusting. But the fact of the matter is, unfortunately,
let's go back. Let's shift the gears back to the advantages of a S corp over a C corp over an LLC.
Well, yeah, it's like if you're playing a shitty game, you got to learn the rules of the shitty game.
Yep.
And the shitty people who run the shitty game change the rules constantly. That's something that's a big deal. Well, that's the way it works. If I've got a game and I've got a bunch of people playing it, and I want to make sure that I always have power over what's going on with them, I'll just make sure I change the rules frequently. So about the time they get used to, this is how we do things. Well, no, now it's different. Whether that's intentional or whether that's because of the power of a vote, it doesn't matter. It still happens. The stuff changes all the time, and it's just,
that's funny.
My entire perspective on it is bust your ass, make enough money to throw some money at somebody who is a professional in dealing with it, because that's pretty much their job, is to keep that bully off of you.
Yes,
that is true. That is it.
All right, we're going to have Sean take over for a little bit. So back to now, what are the advantages? Like like a laundry list of advantages of an S corp, advantages of a C corp, the advantages of an LLC.
Yeah, the main advantage is you want to reduce your tax bill. So all three of them are going to give you liability protection. So you already check that box. Your personal assets are protected when you're under the premise of any of the three. Okay. So the number one goal is to get as much money out of your business legally as you possibly can, whether that's through payroll or 401k or health insurance. The government lets you set up your own company and become an employee of it as an S corp, so that you can payroll yourself as an employee, and you get to deduct the cost of your salary and your payroll taxes as a deduction against your revenue.
Right.
So you're getting as much of your profit out legally as you possibly can in a beneficial way.
So
instead of getting
pop in there, okay, and this is going to be something that I know is going to be exactly at that point that most of the folks like myself who have been working artists who are just, scraping by doing their thing are going to say, well, that's all fine and good if you make enough to, if you're making, I don't know, 80 to 100,000 a year, I guess maybe you can pull yourself a payroll out of that. But what if you do?
You don't even need it to be that high less. I mean, just the liability itself is worth it to do
Well,
it.
no. It's a mixed answer. You're both right. But Les, you have a good point. I'm not going to do an S corp for somebody who's bringing in 30,000. There's just too many. There's too many things you have to keep up with. You have to do payroll. You have to do a business tax return. It's not going to be worth it.
Yeah.
So you really do need. Now it's case by case, but once somebody starts getting above 40 to 60,000, I'd say, then it starts making sense.
See, that's one of the things. There's a whole. On the one hand, the point of it is all very, very simple and straightforward and makes sense. And then on the other, there's how much bullshit do you have to go through all the time, keeping track of every last penny, every little. I mean, it's like you've constantly. Put it like this: if you're an artist and you're thinking about making your art, you're thinking about servicing clients, you're thinking about these things, that's a hard job. Okay? People oftentimes act like being an artist. I mean, I get this all the time. People are like, oh, that's so cool. You get to do this thing. I'm like, you have no freaking clue how freaking hard of a job it is to do it and keep it going all the time. And then adding the layers and layers. I mean, because it always looks to me like it's just layers upon layers upon layers of documentation that you've got to keep track of. I mean, you've got to keep track of every time you fart sideways. And it's just like, really? How do you deal with it?
Real quick, I want to just jump in with a question, and then I'm going to have to go on silent mode. Sean, do you own an LLC, or how did you structure your company, if you're allowed to talk about it?
Yeah, both of my companies are LLCs taxed as S corps.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, now let now give some. Now, can you give some insight or advice to Les with some of?
Yeah.
Charles?
So what happened to him? He fell out. But while he's gone, could you answer a question for me?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that, Pops.
Do you have to live in the state you applied for the LLC?
No.
Okay, so you can shop
No.
around and find the cheapest one in the nation and set your LLC up there.
Sure.
Okay, that's all. Quick,
Yeah.
I have a whole shit ton of questions for you. I ain't gonna lie, but I ain't gonna chew up your hour.
Feel free to jump in with them, Pops.
No, Charles is back. I'd like to get with him separately about my personal situation. I mean, obviously, I don't have the money to hire you, dude. If I did, I wouldn't be watching the show right now. I'd be over there sleeping.
Well, that's one of the great conundrums too. Is it always seems all of the tax professionals that I've dealt with in the past and spoken to all come at such a high premium that it's like, oh, okay, if I want to be protected, I've got to pay this much to somebody to do that job of protecting me. It's like all of it is just cost on top of cost on top of cost. And I'm like, how's somebody who just barely scrapes by supposed to deal with any of it?
Or a startup.
Yeah, or a startup. And then it's like, I mean, it all ends up looking like, well, okay, you can put all the time in that it needs to build the business that you want to build this stuff and all the work, and hope like hell you don't get busted for whatever problem you're going to run into. Or you can maybe put a fraction of the time in and still work a job for somebody else and pull that money in. It's like, and some of these things, especially some of the stuff that we do, you're not going to get off the ground doing it part-time. You have got to be pounding the stuff constantly.
And you got to have a chunk of money to hire somebody like Sean from day one.
Yeah.
To take care of your business. And it's like,
we're very affordable. Like I said, I have, one person shows. that are easy, that can afford us. So,
okay, so check it out. I'm a startup that isn't making any money yet. So everything I'm paying you is basically out of pocket.
yes, it is, and it's also tax deductible.
You know, yeah. Well, we'll get into all that later. I'm like this. I was off the grid for 20 years, and I came back on the grid and started helping people promote comics. That's what I do. I don't make any money at this yet. I'm trying to build a network to take to Roku, and it's all, you know, there's a whole bunch of this and that weird shit that goes on with everything I try to do on the internet or anything. It's just been crazy. And like I said, I haven't made any money yet. So it's like I'm over here selling my own stuff to try to get a stake to make this happen. I have people that are willing to invest waiting on the sidelines for me to build the legit groundwork, the LLC,
Sure.
the contracts, that, you know what I mean?
Sure.
But I don't have money to pay somebody like you to help me like write up contracts and keep track of everything. And I am not the business guy. So until I'm in a position to even hire you or pay you to do this, you see what I'm saying? I got to make some money.
There's a lot of stuff with it that is very catch-22 feeling when you're in our position.
Yeah, it's I got to make some money before I can even really talk to you about what you can do for me. Otherwise, I'm wasting your time.
Well, yeah, there is a cost to it in the beginning, but it pays off 1,000 times over as time goes by, and in, you know, protecting you from liability and tax savings. But yes, but it's not that much. It's not like a $5,000 retainer, and then we go from there. It is very affordable, but it's a very small investment that pays off. Not only does it protect you from liability, and it also hopefully lowers your tax bill in a legal way, but it also allows you to, if you have the right partner in an accountant, it allows you to just focus on your business and not worry about all this stuff. So
that's what I need badly.
Yeah. Nice.
And what I run into more times than to the point where I can't even see straight is people who are trying to fix their past.
Yeah, well, basically don't.
If I started a business, if I started an accounting firm called "I Will Help You Fix Your Past Accounting," I think I would probably be a billionaire. Because,
like I said, I was off the grid for 20 years.
I
don't really have a financial past. It's, you know what I mean? No debt.
Yeah, what I'm saying is an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and if you start off on the right foot, you don't have to fix things in the past.
Right. Okay, so
yeah,
man, I think that broke my train of thought. I had something else. I'll remember it. You guys go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, I apologize because I know that I'm like super negative sounding about all this kind of stuff, and it's, you know, I have been put through the ringer a few times, or very close to put through the ringer a few times because of stuff related to this. You know, it's like you throw in there buying a very large house at one point, in like 2006, but getting what should have been a good deal on a house in 2006, and then within a year and a half are so upside down on it that you're just kind of ruined. You know, it's like, I'm
By the bottom money pit. I know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah. You know, there's stuff like that that's just like, man, how do you cope with it? How do you deal with it?
Oh, I remember now. I remember what my thing was, as far as needing an accountant, right? Or hiring an accountant, you kind of got to be making some money and have some kind of flow before you can even give him any work.
Well, you do, yeah. There is an upfront cost to it, but it's not that much.
Well, I just say that, but it's like if I'm not even making any money yet, what am I going to ask him to do? Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like I'm paying him to watch nothing happen yet, or I don't know when I'm going to get to the point.
Well, you're not going to have problem. Yeah, if you don't have any activity going on, then you don't really have a monthly cost with an accountant.
Right. That's what I mean. It's like,
Yeah. No, you don't just have like a cost regardless of how your business is doing. If you don't have any activity, then there's no cost.
and if there is
up to a certain point, and then once the activity starts, then you start incurring costs to keep it all, put together.
And I'm assuming that's a percentage type thing, or
No. Well, so every accountant's I mean, I would never do a percentage, but I guess every accountant could do whatever they want. Everybody's different, but no, we just usually just charge a low monthly fee. I mean, I have clients at $150 a month.
Well,
absolutely.
Let me hit you with a question that's kind of setting a framework for you. If let's take a hypothetical. Somebody has worked whatever different kind of jobs and all that kind of stuff. A young artist is trying to come up, and they're working their other jobs while they're working on their artwork outside of it, and they finally get their first kind of regular gig, which in comics, what that used to mean was somebody hired you to do a monthly comic for however many months, or they might hire you to do a set number of issues. And
sure.
So then that artist is faced with a question. Okay. There's the industry standards that they're going to have to conform to in order to keep getting work, which means they're going to have to get their work done, on time, on a certain time frame. They're going to have to turn stuff in, and the stresses and strictures of that is probably going to force them to make a choice between either actually accepting that work that they have struggled to get, or dropping their regular work, whatever their day job was. And
sure.
When you've got, so as somebody who's in the financial world, dealing with stuff that you deal with, if, let's say I've got a kid, I've got a son or a daughter who that's their situation, and I come to you and I describe that situation to you, what would your advice to them be? Like how would you, from the perspective of dealing with the finances, the taxes, and all that kind of stuff, what would your perspective on that be?
I guess, well, I mean, it would be, let's sit down for an hour and have a free talk. So I'm not going to charge you to teach you. So, because I think knowledge is peace of mind, and peace of mind is everything in life. And I think what everybody does, what oftentimes they don't have is peace of mind when it comes to this whole topic. Oh. So I'm going to teach you for free. So that you at least have a rudimentary fundamental understanding of the way everything is. And I'm going to do it in layman's terms. And I'm going to do it so that you really believe that you understand at least the premise of what's going on here. And that's going to be free. And then we're going to set up something that matches your pocketbook. We're going to set up something that matches, your budget. Because the truth is when there's not a lot of work to the client, you're not charging a lot of money. So, a lot of the guys in my industry, they take on the big projects, and then they have people working underneath them that are taking on the smaller things. So there's always an accountant out there for every budget. There really is. There is an accountant or a bookkeeper out there for every budget. So a lot of the accountants I work with, they'll take any client. And they'll, put somebody on their staff on it. And, if it's $100 a month, it's $100 a month. But the key is education. What I like to do is teach people for free. Because otherwise you're just kind of staring at me and you're never really knowing what's going on. And the years go by really fast. And
that is true.
Yeah, very true. The years go by. Oh, I got plenty of time. Well, all of a sudden 2018 becomes 2024 and 2024 becomes 2030 really quick. So, and all of a sudden you're 10 years in and you still really don't know what's going on. So I'd rather take an hour in the beginning and lay it all out. I do this with my mortgage company too. I got people buying houses. I've been in the mortgage business since 2003. the first thing I do is I teach them. I take 25 minutes on the phone and teach them everything they need to know. And then I hear this big sigh of relief. And then we can proceed, with peace of mind, because that's what I want. The number one goal of my life and everybody in my life's goal for me is peace of mind. Those 3 words. And what I find is nobody has peace of mind when it comes to money.
They don't.
They don't understand, and nobody ever takes the time to teach. You know how nobody teaches you anything in school about finance? Well, that goes on until the day you die. You hire an accountant, they don't tell you anything. You hire a financial advisor, they just do their job, they don't tell you anything. You're guessing your way through everything. And, so I want to educate people, and then I want to put you on a budget that matches your business. And that's it. Yeah. I know this sounds too good to be true because no one ever hears it, but to me, it's just common sense. When I go to a doctor, I mean, they're going to have all these terms and tests and everything. They don't really tell me what they're doing. They just kind of do it. And I'm just totally at their mercy. When you go to the dentist, you go to the doctor, you go to the lawyer, you're at their mercy. And you're hoping they're doing the best job possible. It's the same with accounting. But I like to turn that around with the mortgage side and the tax and accounting. I'm like, all it takes me is 60 minutes, the length of this podcast, and you'll know 10 times more than you'll ever know ever. From anybody, and all it does is create a happy client.
here's a wild question for you. So, say you're the client, and this is sort of personal experience. Say you're the client. You've hired an accountant. You're doing what they tell you, and then you find out 1, 2, 3, 5 years down the line that they completely screwed up all along the way.
Yeah.
How do you roll out of that?
You don't. No, you do. You roll out of it very painfully.
Because
very painfully is how you roll out of it.
And that's one of those things. I am part of why I'm so cynical is I've learned through experience, very bad experiences. I mean, honestly, it's just hard to trust anybody. It's like people could tell me, "Oh, yeah, I'm an expert at this. I do this. I've got these papers on the wall and all that." Well, I've dealt with people who had the papers on the wall before and gotten thoroughly screwed. And it's like, how do I trust anybody?
Yeah. I wish I had a good answer. I wish I had a good answer to that. I think one of the ways around that is to just keep up with talking to your accountant on a regular basis and reviewing your books and reviewing everything so that you can see it's on track. But that's only going to get you so far because it's only as good as what they're telling you. Yeah. So, I wish I had a better answer for that. I don't know. I guess, the one advantage we have nowadays is reviews. Like you can go online and see if 270 people have said that they've done a good job for 10 years, they probably have. So I think that's one of the ways is to look at their past experiences, talk to their other clients.
Yeah.
Because the IRS and the state they're not unforgiving, but you can't get the toothpaste back in the tube. Like if you mess things up in the past, you have to fix it and you have to pay penalties and interest. And there's no way around that. So you can never ever tell the IRS or anybody that my accountant messed up and don't make me pay for it. Yeah. Even though it might be true.
I get the opportunity to pay somebody to take care of something, and then when they screw it up, I'm the one that's on the hook for it.
Yeah, the way the system is set up is well, yes and no. You're on the hook for the information that you provided, but if they enter it incorrectly, they're on the hook. So if you give your accountant,
wish I'd have known that 15 years ago.
Yeah, the accountant's not responsible for your numbers that you provide. Whether it's receipts or bank statements or whatever. I mean, if those are bad, then that's on you. But if you give them everything or her everything and they put it in the wrong way, that's on them. So, yeah.
Well,
so it's kind of a split. It's kind of a split. Yeah.
Well, So probably the biggest thing that I wonder about, like I was saying earlier, let's say, you know what, man, it seems to me like there's a learning curve to like a pretty steep learning curve when it comes to like, you know, if I do cash transactions like at a convention. I do comic book shows a lot. And if I'm doing cash transactions at a convention, how do I deal with that? If I'm doing cards and things like that, you know, where does all this stuff, what's the best way to manage all of that? If I'm
you just keep good records, and you report all of your cash and you deposit it into a bank and you keep receipts, and that's it. It's just that simple. I mean, every dollar that comes in, whether it's Zelle or Venmo or debit card, credit card, or cash or check, it all has to be accounted for and taxed, and that's it. You just keep records.
Okay.
That's it. And you put it in the bank. You know.
So hold up. If I put my own money into this, they're going to tax my money again?
No, that's equity. That's never taxed.
Okay.
So how do you know?
That's a separate.
Hold up, Les. Anything I'm putting into this right now is considered equity, not.
Yeah, anything you put in is tax free. That's equity. That's your own money.
So how do you determine what you can, like let's say it costs me $500 to go set up at a convention one weekend. I'm just pulling numbers out for easy math. But say it costs me $500 to set up at a convention for one weekend. And that's me just saying it's going to cost this. That's like travel, lodging, food,
right,
setup, blah, 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 all this stuff that's involved in it. How do you know what you can and can't write off is my question. Because it seems to me.
Records of, if any expense that is incurred, any expense that's incurred in the name of production of revenue is deductible. So any expense that you incur that is geared towards generating revenue in one way or another is tax deductible. And you just keep a good ledger, and that's it.
Okay, so I want to go back to where I was. So right now, it's like I'm selling my own stuff, right? And then the money is going into a bank account, which changed to a business account as soon as I get my LLC, right?
Yes.
So then that's already there. That's not money that they can tax, even though it came in through whatever platform GoFundMe uses to send money to me.
Well, that's a little bit more of a conversation. I get where you're going with that, but
I'm selling stuff that people are donating to the groundwork of the business. Okay, I'm selling my own stuff, and they're sending me the money, but I'm not making money as a business yet. That's the money I'm using to stake the business.
Sure.
Okay. So that's what I said. I want to have a conversation with you outside, anytime you're convenient, because it's just, there's so many things that I just don't know, and I can't do this wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm happy to talk. You just get my number from Charles, and that's fine.
Cool.
I'm happy to give you a free consultation.
Well, it wouldn't necessarily.
And for all of your listeners out there, I'm happy to do a free consultation, get you up to speed.
It's definitely something I need. I need somebody like you. I mean, I might end up hiring you if we get to that point where I'm making enough money to bother you. You see what I'm saying?
Sure. Yep.
But I want
to be
protected from the beginning. I get that. I have the funds for the LLC already. I'm just shopping. I want the cheapest one. Man, the last LLC I had was in Arizona. It cost me $15.
Yeah.
I think LLCs here in Kentucky are like 40.
See, I might go there.
Yeah.
See, you know what I mean? It's like I'm just shopping around. I want the cheapest one. I ain't no dummy. You know.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I totally appreciate your time. I'm gonna get out the way, let you guys wrap this thing up.
Well, I think we're coming up on time to run the sponsors at the end of the show. So, isn't that about right, Pops?
Yeah, we're about there.
Cool. All right, folks. Well, I know it hasn't been a whole lot of talking about artwork today, but it is stuff that's important. I want to thank Sean Sullivan for coming out and hanging out with us and hopefully helping some of us get our heads on straight with this stuff. I know mine still isn't, but I'm gonna be working on it. And till
Just
next
give
time,
me a call. I'm happy to help.
Until next time, I'm gonna hand it off to Pops so we can roll on out of here.
All right, now I'm gonna tell you what Sean said. Keep good records. Keep really good records.
Yeah, that's the key.
So that when you do either need to produce them or hire somebody like Sean, you're giving him the very best groundwork he can lay for you.
Absolutely.
Keep good records, And with that, y'all have a great day. Tune in about an hour.
Right.
At your Doc's Coffee Shop, yo. Peace.
Absolutely.
We're out of here, y'all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate you having me on.
Sure, man.
Thanks for coming out. It was very informative. Thank you.
All right.
Glamorized and embraced by Hollywood, feared in the underworld, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel was one of the most powerful men in America. He was also one of the most hated. The man who gave birth to Las Vegas was gunned down in the luxurious home of his glamorous lover. Almost 80 years later, his murder remains unsolved. Who killed Bugsy?
Critical blast logistics, getting it done, getting it there. Critical blast logistics, getting it done, getting it there.
How do you end this thing? How do you put the where's the brakes on this bus? I forgot.
Jazz
how to drive.
hands. Jazz hands are done.